Well, hello there, YouTube subscribers. I thought I'd do a short video today. I had one of my saws out and I was doing a little maintenance work on it. And this is an older one. It's a Pro Mac 60. It's a 60cc saw. And I was working on the switch here a little bit and happened to take the fuel tank, take the gas cap off and looked in there, and there's a lot of flaking going on. So I thought what I'd do is do a short video. We'll take the fuel tank off here, pull this up and clean out the tank good and reseal it with a coating that'll go on there, and then we won't have any of that problem. So stay tuned. We'll get with it right here shortly. You can see, I don't know if you can see in there, you can probably see a little bit of where that paint's flaking off, and that's the problem that we're going to go ahead and try to fix. I could probably do this without taking the handlebar off, but I'm going to go ahead and take it off anyway. You can see this bolt, or the screw that's right in the top, it's right underneath the handlebar, and there's only about an inch there to spaced, so it's just easier to take this handlebar off. It's not a big deal. Okay, got the handlebar off there. We'll go ahead now and pop this bolt on the top here. These things are always tighter than heck. Man. And then there's two more bolts right here in the air box. We'll pull those out to hold that top on. But now that we've got the top of the fuel tank off, we'll give you another closer look at what the problem is. And right there, you can see how that all that paint over the years is starting to deteriorate, and it's starting to peel off of there. So we got to fix that. I went ahead and scraped off all the big chunks, so it was easy to come off and whatnot. And so now I'm going to take my Dremel tool and try to get into some of these corners and the nooks and crannies to get the rest of it out of there. I've got a little teeny wire brush on it. We'll see how that works. Okay, we've got our fuel tank pretty well cleaned out here. You can see I've got it basically down to the bare metal. And what I'm going to do now is use some acetone to clean that out really good. And then, after that's dried, we're going to use this Kreem fuel tank liner and coat that with the fuel tank liner. Give a shout out to the chainsaw guy who has a channel on YouTube called the Chainsaw Guy, and I saw in one of his videos a while back where he was doing this with an old saw, but I couldn't remember what he used, so I shot him a quick email, and by golly, he got right back to me, so I appreciate that. And so we're gonna put this on, give it a whirl, and see what we have. Make it this way with this acetone, we'll make sure we don't have any residual grease in there. I've got the carburetor covered, so I didn't want any particles to get in there as I was using my Dremel tool on this. Now the instructions on this say to put it in the tank and swirl it around, but since this tank's in half and I'm only doing the bottom half of it, I'm not going to be able to do that. So what I thought I'd do is just pour some in, and I'll use one of these little foam brushes to spread it around and get it on all the spots of the tank. You can see this stuff is kind of a white substance. I'm not sure exactly if it dries white or what, but we're going to see what we have here. Okay, I think we were pretty well ready to put this back together. I'll show you what I used this Kreem stuff, as I think I'd mentioned, and I put 2 coats in, and the last coat I let, after I swashed it around and kind of moved it around the tank like this and got a good coat on there, let it set about 24 hours. So I think we're ready to put this thing back together and see what happens. While I was at it, this airbox gasket was pretty well shot and deteriorated, and they're really tough to come by. So I made another one. I got some gasket material and cut a couple little strips right here to go all the way around it. to kind of mimic the original equipment one, so that this, when the air box goes back on here, it'll have a good seal there. So the other thing I did is inside here, right here, there's a cork gasket. And those things are extremely hard to find to replace this. And so since the one that was in there wasn't broken or disturbed, I left it in there, left it alone, but I just added a little teeny bead of gasket maker. This is the Permatex anaerobic gasket maker that's resistant to fuels and things. And I've used it before with pretty good luck. So I put a little teeny bead of that around so to get a good seal in there so we don't get any leaks. So we're going to go ahead and put it back together now, and then we'll put a little fuel in it, make sure we haven't got any leaks, and move forward. One of the things I like to do when I'm putting these back together, I take a little bit of, this is medium thread locker, Loctite thread locker. I just put a little touch on here, kind of help these go together a little better and make sure they're tight, because these things vibrate like the son of a gun. Okay, got the handlebar back on, airbox is secure. So I think we'll put a little fuel in it and see what we can do here. Sometimes after he's drained the fuel, I just give it a little helper squirt right there down the floor of the carburetor. There we go. I think we're back in business. I'll take it outside and probably put a bar on it and try to see how it idles a little bit. It should idle okay. It was fine before I brought it in here. But I got this taken care of, and hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.